Hello everyone. Let's talk about creating inclusive spaces for all people, children with disabilities or children without. What does it take to create an inclusive space? First is a feeling of acceptance for individual differences. Individual differences knowing that not one size would fit all. All children, most children will come with different learning needs, and we as educators, parents, school communities and societies at large to have an attitude of curiosity and discovery. Each person has its own unique ability, their unique temperament, their skill set and their needs, what they come back with. And if we stay curious, the opposite of that would be rigid, presumptuous, knowing that this is what we want, and if the person does not fit that bill, they are not good enough or we do not want them. We do not want that in inclusive spaces. What we want is openness. We want to welcome as many people into our communities with their differences and say what that differences brings to enrich our life, to enrich our experience, and through helping them, through working with them, what are we discovering, what are we learning, what is the new that is coming our way. When working with people with dyslexia, inclusivity would one mean how do I equalize the field of giving them the same opportunities of learning in terms of exposure to the content or the learning opportunities that we are creating. When I think of a school system, when we transact with different curriculum, we create different learning opportunities for say learning, language arts, mathematics, scientific knowledge or social sciences, learning about history, political science theories, so on and so forth. If I were to say knowledge is power, knowledge carries with it the energy for children or people to thrive. Creating inclusive spaces in schools for people with dyslexia and dysgraphia would be, how do I make this knowledge accessible? What do I do so that children with disabilities can access the information? They can benefit from what information is on the other side, and then is the discovery of what do they do with that information, how do they make it their own, what experiments or questions do they bring with them. Remember, children with dyslexia, people with dyslexia are people with average or above average intelligence. They have developed language skills. So it is going to be our discovery to see what questions they come up with. How do they challenge us in making sense of the curriculum? How do they challenge us in stretching ourselves to become teachers who are able to meet their curiosity where they are? Creating inclusive spaces is also about when we set up methods of testing. When we want to evaluate how children are learning, how much are they learning, how are they benefiting from our learning opportunities or the experiences that we are setting forth, we need to be able to give them alternative methods of evaluation. We cannot stick to only copy pencil based evaluations. We need to come up with alternative oral expression based speaking evaluations where they are making either presentations or they are creating projects or they are coming up and teaching a class full of peers to demonstrate what their new learnings are going to be. For us to create inclusive spaces, we also need to know what other skill sets the children are coming to the education system beyond our curriculum or sometimes even beyond our extracurricular activities that we have streamlined in the school system. What their energies are, what are they good at, what kind of projects they want to create, what kind of peer-based or community-based learnings that they want to go forward to. In fact, my discovery working with children with dyslexia and dysgraphia has been they are great problem solvers. Sometimes as a teacher, if I was to put forth my struggle to them and ask them, how should I do this? How should I make this easier? How should I help you learn this? And they will come back to solutions with me and saying, ma'am, I think if you do it like this, it will be more helpful. In fact, I have learned so much of scheduling from my learners who were problem solvers, and they taught me how could I schedule my lessons better to meet their needs. And through that, I have learned new ways of scheduling that I could not have discovered on my own. So this is about creating inclusive spaces where we are welcoming all and staying curious about, with the belief that children can learn, children can thrive, and more than children can learn from us, we can learn from them. And we as adults are growing as much as our children are growing with us, we are growing with them. So towards an inclusive society and school systems, let's work hard for it. Remember, it is going to be intentional. It is not going to be accidental. We will deliberately have to make and create those systems.